for sure. Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Friday to have some fun, to shut this week down. It's our very good friend, TK Trinidad. TK, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
Hey, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. We have a great show here today. It is the final, what I'm calling Hotel Sessions Wrestling Inc. Daily here, hopefully forever. I have been cooped up here last minute in California. I want to thank everybody for all the support this week, despite the audio and video being a little different than normal. Been trying to bring you the best show we can. It seems like the audience hasn't gone anywhere, so I really love and support all of you all. I just want you to know that Monday, we're going to be back in studio, and next Friday, you're going to get that regular TK, Nick audio magic. Yeah, the goods. But anyway, I shouldn't make as many excuses. We got a real fun show here today. We're going to talk all the news of the day in just a little bit. After the news, if you're listening to us in audio form, you're going to hear the full audio from Sting's AEW Revolution Media Scrum. We were airing all the scrums this week. This is the final one. We kind of went backwards. It was surreal, TK. I've never met Sting. I did not think he was going to do the media scrums. He's never done them before. When Sting walks into a room, you kind of feel it. It's very intimidating. It's very intimidating, TK. So I think you guys are going to love. Oh yeah, totally. He's got an aura about him for sure. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna hear from Sting later. If you're watching us in video form, right after we're done here, head over to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. If you haven't already, we got the full video from the AEW Revolution Media Scrum. You can go check it out over there. At the end of the show, for everybody, we'll dive to the mailbag. We're going to look at pro wrestlers who've gone Hollywood. One of my favorite conversations as of late, spurred by a conversation I was having the other night with a friend. Who's done it the best? Who do you like the most that's made the transition? That'd be a fun topic here. Why not? Close the week out. But, of course, the best part of the show is you all out there listening, supporting, engaging. You could do that here live Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. If you watch the news segment, get recorded live. You could be like Esteban here, who's over on YouTube. He says hello, as does Antonio Garcia, Leo, Imcast, who's sleepy but says hi. Bruce Barrett, what's up from Connecticut? Bruce, welcome to the Daily. Thank you so much for tuning in. First-time listener or watcher live, I guess. I think. Never seen him here before. All right. Let's get to it here, everybody. It's time for news you can use, news that'll leave a bruise. We're going to start off here with some WrestleMania backstage news. We're going to start off here with a couple back-to-back stories from the Wrestling Observer, who, by the way, caused a lot of issues in the past 12 hours. In the new Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer said that Steven Regal, or William Regal, dealing with some serious health issues. We reported it. A lot of other people reported it. William Regal has taken to Twitter and has since said, I am fine. I had health issues in 2018. I guess he's going to talk about it on Jericho's podcast this week, but no health issues. And so we've retracted that. And just a huge headache. I felt like I should call that out, TK. You know?
Yeah, at least he clarified it. Because sometimes people just kind of let it float. And then, it's just in the zeitgeist. So at least he clarified it. He's like, I'm good. So.
Yeah, and I'm happy to hear that too. It was great. It's been great just seeing him back. So anyway, there's your Regal note. Backstage WrestleMania news. Let's talk about Steve Austin and Kevin Owens here. The Wrestling Observer saying the scheduled Austin-Owens match was changed as Austin agreed to do a segment with a fight sequence, not a match. Still talk of doing an angle to lead to a match between the two if Austin were to agree to it. But WWE feels like they needed to announce Austin for the card this week and not at a later date. What are your thoughts on the kind of ball and kept game we're getting here with Steve Austin and Kevin Owens at the moment, TK?
Well, Steve Austin knows his body. And just by kind of watching his demeanor, he wants to give you the best product. So maybe the fight sequence he feels will be better as far as watching versus seeing him in the ring. That's kind of what I'm thinking as far as that. It's kind of like any athlete, they don't want you to see, they want you to remember them in their prime. And those are the ones who kind of made it to the top. There's nothing else for them to do. They want you to remember them in their prime. That's why you at one point you didn't really see, and still now you don't really see too much of Michael Jordan. That's kind of one of the reasons behind that. So I get it. He might be able to give his best now, but Steve Austin in his prime is two different things, and maybe he wants to really kind of keep that in the minds of folks. So he wants to protect his brand. So I see nothing wrong with it. And WWE has had some great fight sequences in the past where it's just like you can't believe what you're watching. It's almost like a mini movie. So what's the problem with going that direction?
Well, and usually the kind of stuff like this, it's usually kind of been a surprise, right? Like I'm going to host a big show or I'm going to do a segment. I think about when the Wyatt family confronted The Rock a couple years back at WrestleMania. And it just kind of happened on the spot. And then The Rock like rips his pants off and he's like laying out rock bottoms out of nowhere. Caught people by surprise. They weren't expecting it. My only worry here is like the bar keeps getting lowered about what you should expect from Steve Austin, Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. It went from match to segment to now like physical fight sequence, whatever that means. I just hope the fans don't walk away like feeling like they didn't. Yeah, underwhelmed. Totally. Because you're right. Like, I remember when Michael Jordan, like, did he play for like the Washington Wizards or something for like a season? Yeah. And everyone was like, this isn't Michael Jordan. This isn't very good. You don't want to have that on your record. And so, yeah, I hope whatever it is delivers to the fans. I just worry that expectations are too high right now for what fans kind of want from these two at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree, and maybe that's the two parties trying to figure it out. Obviously Steve Austin wants to protect his brand, and WWE's like, no, do this. And yes, Steve Austin's is still in the zeitgeist as far as WWE Universe, but WWE is for WWE first and foremost, and everybody else is secondary. So that's the balance I think that's the balance we're at. And yeah, I definitely don't want to be underwhelming, especially WrestleMania. It's like it's the biggest show. Everything should be big, and if you can't have it big, then just don't make it happen. And obviously, it's too late to cancel. But I'd rather them make up something. That's why I tell people, just at least communicate with me. Make up something that I can believe, and I could all right, cool. Versus it not happening at all, which WWE's done in the past before, or a lower quality product. So we'll see what happens.
I like Antonio Garcia here saying cinematic match. Like why not a cinematic match between these two, right? I mean, Steve Austin and Booker T kind of like partially invented the cinematic match in a grocery store one time. Iconic, super hella iconic, and like I would love to see Kevin Owens and Steve Austin in like a Texas honky tonk bar, right? And then do it like Roddy Piper, Gold Dust style. You get the car chase into the arena later on. I mean, who's to say we won't get that? I mean, I guess we very well could get something like that at WrestleMania. But I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I love the idea of Steve Austin and Kevin Owens doing something cinematic. Awesome. By the way, Daniel Bryce, I did not know this. I guess Michael Jordan also bought a NASCAR team, which he says is weird. I didn't know.
It's not too. Actually, if you were to read, on a side note, if you were to read Scottie Pippen's biography, he has some really interesting things to say about Michael Jordan. And if you're not a reader, definitely listen to his audiobook. That's all I'm going to say. And then you'll understand why Michael Jordan has a NASCAR team.
All right.
I made no money off of that.
I'm not going to lie. I am not a basketball person. I am a child of the 90s. I know who Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan are in Word of the Bulls. So, okay, yeah, I might go check that out.
Listen to the audiobook when you're on a plane. Just trust me, you'll enjoy it.
Well, elsewhere in WrestleMania land, the Observer also saying that the current plan calls for Carmella and Zelina Vega, Queen Zelina, to defend their titles in a fatal four-way match. Now, this match started out as a standard tag bout, but Morgan and Ripley were added on Monday after they defeated the champs in a non-title match. Now it sounds like a fourth team is going to be scheduled to be included that has Natalya on it, but they don't know the partner. Could be Shotzi, could be Shayna. Some people even speculated Sonya Deville because Naomi's in the match. Maybe Natalya picks her up. I feel like it was just last week, TK, that we were like, I love that the women's tag titles are not going to be a person match, and it is a week later, and that's no longer the case.
Yeah, I feel like they sometimes they get it right, WWE, and then sometimes they don't. This is not the play. And I was just saying this today on something else where it's like I really love tag teams that make sense. Sasha and Naomi make sense because of their past. And they've been throwing Naomi in tag teams with random people for years right now. And same thing with Natalya. And it's just kind of like, it's like, put some respect on tag team names. Like if they're gonna be a tag team, then let them be a tag team and let them, do their tag team, life to a point. Let them live that versus, oh well, they're not doing anything. Let's throw them together and let's throw some belts on them. It's just really disrespectful on that. You can't really fully appreciate the tag team belts. And then to make it a fatal four-way, it's like, I understand, and I'm always an advocate for giving female wrestlers time on, the biggest stage in the land, but it has to make sense, and this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't even know how. I mean, I could see how Sonya maybe wanted to get at Naomi, inserting herself in the match, like bringing Natalya. But it's too convoluted, right?
So old news. Yeah, it's old news.
It's so convoluted. Yeah, we were so on the hook last week about seeing these two teams get to like really tell a story, build to a program, and rather than getting kind of these little twists and turns, in the chapters each week, instead we're just going to get these really broad moves of people just being thrown into the match. And this doesn't exactly do it for me right now. To see this kind of happening. So we'll see. Maybe it'll happen with the men's tag teams as well. Let's see. We have MCASP and Sasha and Naomi in a championship contenders match tonight. What the hell? Is that true? Is that what's going down tonight? I hadn't seen that.
I didn't see that either. Quick Google search.
Naomi SmackDown. I feel like I should know this. News. Yeah, okay. Advertise for tonight. Sasha and Naomi take on, Zelina and Carmella and so they're not against each other. They're going in a non-title match against so we're going to get the match that we wanted to see at WrestleMania tonight on SmackDown for free. Got it. I'm really glad that was brought to my attention, and I took the time to Google that. Right?
Like, not even.
And I guess it's a championship contenders match is what MCAS was seeing. I didn't see that part. But, I guess they should be. Yeah, and I see he also saying Natalya, Leah. That would make more sense to me because those two have been doing all kinds of stuff on TV for the last, month and a half. Right?
Right, but then, again, it's just, can we build the story, to just throw them together? And I'm a hardcore Naomi fan, so for you guys who don't know. So just to throw them together and what they've been doing to Naomi over the years, makes it seem like she's not really a great wrestler, and she is, which is the frustrating part. It's like they're not taking advantage of the talent. It's like going back to that 90s reference, taking Michael Jordan, knowing how amazing he is, and just sitting him on the bench. Like, no, yeah. We don't need championships. Just sit on the bench. It just doesn't make sense. So it's very frustrating to let these women shine. If you're gonna do it, then do it all the way. Let it shine. Like I love to see. You made reference to Booker T and Steve Austin in the grocery store. How many years ago was that? And you could talk about that. Exactly. So it's the same thing. Let these women shine where it's just you can have those memorable moments.
Yeah. Outside of WWE WrestleMania, let's take a look over at some ROH stories here. Fightful, we'll start with this one saying, a person of influence at Warner Media did not want the Briscoe brothers signed to AEW, mainly due to Jay's homophobic tweets from 2013. Now, Jay did wind up apologizing for those tweets shortly after he made them. He did that in a Ring of Honor show. I have some take on this, but are you surprised by this? How do you feel about this revelation, I guess, about the Briscoes and Warner AEW?
It's even beyond that, it speaks of cancel culture. And, if we were all to look at what we thought or what we could have tweeted however long ago, we all would have been canceled. And if the person apologized for it and they didn't show, they didn't apologize and then continue making tweets or, double down. If he apologized for it, then why not give him the chance? It's just, you're holding people to these standards that, none of us is perfect. There's the people who made the decision not to bring them on. I bet you when we go into their closet, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that they don't want people to know. So the fact that it's just, it's just kind of frustrating, especially if the person apologizes and it was from 2013. So much has changed since then, that as far as learning and growth. So, for the person not to make money because of a tweet is kind of crazy.
Well, and like I don't really believe we're like the phrase cancel culture. I think it's more of an accountability society where like there's just so much more that's known and easy to communicate. It's easier to let people know when you find something to be offensive. And when you think of it in terms of accountability, right? Like we want people to be held accountable for the things they say or do that are bad or hurt people around them, right?
Of course.
This is what Jay did. Jay was held accountable, right? Jay went out and apologized for this. He showed, some remorse, like he was trying to learn from this experience. And flash forward here to 2022, either tonight or tomorrow night. I think tomorrow night at GCW Astronaut. I think the Briscoes are taking on Bussy, Allie Ketch, and Effie. And again, Effie is not the voice of all gay people in pro wrestling or all gay people, period, right? Mm-hmm. But I have seen Effie repeatedly tweet about how he thinks it's great having the Briscoes in the locker room, seeming to kind of like want to stick up for Jay a little bit. And, right. And as outspoken as Effie is, that's a pretty good, I think, sign
barometer
for Jay and Mark. What I think happened here, TK, honestly, is I think the Brian Kendrick situation screwed up so much stuff. I think that there was so little oversight possibly going into like background checks, like on socials of potential people that the company wanted to work with, that Warner Media was like, we can't let this happen again. We're going to have some people dig into people you're thinking about working at. And somebody found this and it spooked the Warner people because they're just like, we can't have another Brian Kendrick situation on our hands. And that to me, that feels more in line with like what's going on here. Because I agree. I think it's ridiculous to kind of hold Jay to the standard here if he's shown remorse and like he seems to have learned and grown from something that happened like a decade ago,
Right. Yeah. Geez, 2013. Oh my gosh, that is quite a while ago. I mean, it's and I mean, Disney does the same thing. When Disney considers on hiring anybody, they do a deep background check, and people in the industry, it's on you to unfortunately kind of go back into your tweets and all that other stuff and delete what you might think is offensive. However, I've always said that if you're not around the groups that you're offending, sometimes you might not know. So then the fact that you've learned from the experience, you apologized and there's remorse, and now you're like, you've learned from that and you grow, then let people grow. Versus holding them to something that they did 10 years ago. It's a tweet. There's people who do far worse.
I think that I would not be surprised if we see Jay Briscoe like rocking some rainbow flags on his gear here at some GCW shows coming up. Like if I'm Jay and this is like the story that's out there right now, and you genuinely are trying to like completely rebuke it, like I would be hugging Effie as tight as I can right now and really trying to engage the community about how they feel about him and, trying to put this thing to bed, because like, I'll be honest, I really like the Briscoe brothers. I think they bring an intensity. I think Jay in particular is like if you ever see that guy live, like there is, we talk about energy and auras and stuff, like that guy is off the charts. And so, people screw up. I understand accountability and all that and wanting to hold people to accountability. People that don't want to be accountable continue pissing people off. That's like you say, that's totally their choice. But other people like owning a situation to try to grow from it, that's another choice. And that's what Jay's done here. So anyway. All right.
Hopefully we'll see what happens.
I don't want to rant about this anymore from this hotel room that I'm trapped in right now. Feel so out of place here. I'm so glad that, I love you and everyone I get to do this show with, but this room, if I never do another podcast from this hotel room, I swear to God, I'll have no problems with that. All right, lastly here, somebody said, I don't remember how far back it was because the comment section has been lit today. Do we have any Cody news? Well, we do have a little Cody news here, but it is not really anything to clarify what is going on with Cody in the future. Instead, Cody decided to have a Twitter engagement with Ty Conti. So Ty following yesterday where she had to come out and publicly state that she didn't break up Sammy Guevara's engagement with his fiance. She says, "Hey, Cody and Brandy, when y'all coming back? You left all the haters to me and Sammy, huh?" So Cody responds, "Mediocrity loves company, and when you're underrated, everybody is your friend. Just do the work like y'all do. Wear the crown and smile. It's still the best sport, the best fans, and ultimately, it's all worth it." Before I kick this to you, there's this Matt Jackson quote going around. I know because I picked it out and put it in the headline, and it's everywhere now, where he says the pro wrestling fans are the most toxic fans on the planet. I definitely think that Cody's little line here about how pro wrestling has the best fans, the best sport, everything, just an interesting striking of tone that I don't think was unintentional. That's all I'm saying.
Well, first off, all news or all tweets or all comments, whether negative or not, is good. Like, say hypothetically you're doing a show or there's a show and nobody's commenting on the match or has an opinion on the match, then you're not doing a great job. And of course, nobody wants to hear the negativity. But the fact that people take to Twitter and they voice their opinion, and after a show or during the show, it's lit. Everybody's commenting out pretty much whatever show. That's a good thing. It's on you to filter through whatever you want to filter through. So, and that's with anything, with any type of brand. So wrestling, again, with wrestling, when the shows come on, the fact that it's all year round, like shouts are like wrestling fans. It's all year around, and every Monday through Sunday, somebody's saying something. There's not a show that goes by that somebody doesn't have something to say. That's dedication right there. Because you have the NBA has a season, and NHL has a season, NFL has a season, but all year around, that's something right there. And then with Cody, let Cody live. Let him breathe a little bit.
Well, couple comments. Daniel Price, you're saying, I wonder how many people in AEW Cody meant that mediocrity snipe towards. I don't want to draw that conclusion because, again, it seems like it was aimed more at fans that are like coming at Ty and Sammy right now. So, yeah, I didn't really take that as a shot at AEW. The best fans line definitely struck me there, but I'll take Cody at his word that he was trying to be sincere in this moment here. He's trying to be as of late. But yeah, we have Bruce Barrett. No more Cody speculation. He needs to pick a place and show up before he becomes old news. I understand the desire to let Cody be. I do, like I've said, I think earlier this week, think that there is still a window here where it can be really impactful. And if it drags on too much longer, I don't really know how Cody's showing up is really going to hit outside of this time frame, I guess, where he's just so hot and anticipated right now.
I disagree.
You okay?
I disagree. I feel like, yes, we want to see him somewhere now, but if we see him somewhere a la SummerSlam, we're still going to pop. There's going to be news and everybody's going to be talking about it. And everybody's going to be tweeting about it. Like it's Cody Rhodes. So, I mean, it's one of those things where he's not a new wrestler. He's kind of, I don't know if the right term is wrestling royalty to give him that title, but like, he's Cody Rhodes. If we don't see Cody for another 6 months, yes, we'll be complaining. Yes, he'll die off. But if he pops up somewhere, we'll all be talking about it.
All right. Well, TK, I want to thank you for joining me at Top Show, talk all the news today. Thank you to AEW for the access to the AEW Revolution media scrums and getting to ask questions of Sting. It was a total honor. And I hope if you were listening to us in audio form, you enjoyed that audio with Sting. Again, over on our YouTube channel, if anybody watched us right now wants to check that out in video form. All right. We're going to wrap up the week here with a fun little mailbag question, right? Nothing too controversial. Yeah, nothing controversial. Nothing that's going to hopefully create divides in the pro wrestling community. Just wanted to ask everybody, who is your favorite pro wrestler turned Hollywood star? I listed The Rock, John Cena, Dave Bautista, or somebody else. About 100 votes here in the past hour. 65.9% go to The Rock, 17% to John Cena, 12.5% to Bautista, and 4.5% to everybody else. TK, who's your favorite pro wrestler turned Hollywood? Do you agree with this poll?
Man, I agree. I've been a Rock fan for a long time. His transition into the industry is I mean, can you name anybody else on that? Like John Cena is like trying to follow in his footsteps, but to the level of him producing all these movies and doing the movies and producing the shows and all this other stuff is just and then also to go back to still have a kind of sort of relationship with WWE. I don't know, but it's like he's supposed to show up and then he doesn't show up, and then we're talking about him being somewhere and then he's not being, like, it's still, people still get excited. I still get excited at the possibility, even though he said that he's not planning on wrestling anytime soon. So I mean, I forever am a fan of The Rock. I personally think he's he's getting too much muscle, but I mean, who am I? I'm not married to him, so that's just a preference. But hey, say la vie.
You got to look big for those screens, right? Got to fill that movie screen. I'm a big Rock fan. Love Dwayne Rock Johnson. I like Young Rock, but honestly, like Young Rock is like the most I've ever watched The Rock on screen. His movies are not my taste. Like, I don't really like watching Rock movies. Like, I'm not a hyper action kind of guy. I'm not going to watch Fast and Furious or Volcano or Skyscraper or whatever. It's not my thing.
I mean, they're interesting. I mean,
okay, sure, fine. I'm not saying, look, everyone's got their taste. I love IPAs. Some people will tell you that tastes like you're drinking pond water out of an ashtray. I get it, okay? But I also like John Cena a lot. I think he's really good. I think he shows a lot of range. I think it started with Trainwreck. He's more comedic than The Rock, in my opinion. Like, Rock is like the action guy. Cena's like the comedy guy. And Batista's the drama guy, which is interesting because, like, you wouldn't think Batista's like the thespian, but in my opinion, like, if there's a race to an Oscar here, I put Dave Batista front of the line.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
But Rock is funny though. His stuff with Kevin Hart, like, like his stuff, like he has, like, I feel like I don't know if this has happened before. Like John Cena and The Rock, not together for a full movie. That's a little bit much. But I feel like their comedic style is like on that, like, the really, like, the one-liners, the zingers, even the stuff that he does in Fast and the Furious. He has those, one-liners where it's just like, it's very Rock-esque. So I don't want to take the funny card away from him. I think he is quite funny, especially the stuff that him and Kevin Hart do together. But I definitely agree. Batista for as far as drama, that's more of a potential than anybody else.
Here's the thing about Cena, though, when it comes to comedy, is like he's won over people like Amy Poehler, Ike Barinholtz, Tina Fey. Like, he could go do all of those like SNL area movies, and he seems to like really thrive in that space. That crew's not banging down The Rock's door to do the same stuff that John Cena's doing. Like, he doesn't have a goofy, like, there's like a goofy neighbor type quality to John Cena that you don't like. The Rock is too cool for that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm overanalyzing.
I feel like this. They would bang down The Rock's door, but The Rock, like, then stand in line. Like, and no offense to John Cena. Yeah, it's no offense to John Cena, but I think John Cena is a little bit more accessible than the Rock. The Rock has been doing this a lot longer than John Cena, and The Rock has his own production company. So I think I saw some article where he has movies until him and Kevin Hart are like, they just have movies until whenever, 2045. So sure. I feel like he could do some of that SNL stuff, but I think the line is a little bit longer. And now that you say it, I'm like questioning my commitment to that statement, but I'm going to stand behind it. I think he could do SNL.
Oh, for sure. And look, I think after having this discussion, I think I've convinced myself easily Batista is my favorite wrestler on Hollywood, just because I really have a lot of respect for just like breaking completely like the expectation of what a pro wrestler in Hollywood is. Like, MCAS here, Julie saying Hogan, Bruce saying Roddy Piper. We got Lou Albano here from MCAS. We have, MCAS scene has come a long way. We have a Captain Sano, Big Show, David Arquette, Macho Man. All of these, except for Arquette, who I wouldn't consider a pro wrestler first. He's Hollywood first. all of these people go and they play like wrestler type people. Like it's
Right.
changed. Like The Rock, to his credit, was able to go in, take those wrestlery roles and kind of like show a little depth beyond it. I think
Yeah.
Cena's the one that kicked the flood doors down. I think the train wreck stuff, I think, I guess maybe with The Rock doing like some of the Disney stuff, that would kind of,
Yeah,
I
the
guess
Tooth
you could
Fairy
put it.
stuff, like that.
Yeah.
Not every wrestler could pull that off. Not every wrestler. Go back and watch the Tooth. Now that I think about like, think of the Disney stuff. Which shout out to his ex-wife. I don't know if they were married, but shout out to
They were
his,
Danny Garcia
yeah,
or Daniel
she
Garcia.
was the one who put that whole Disney deal together. So shout out to her, because I feel like if that Disney deal didn't happen, then he would have been pigeonholed in the wrestler trying to be actor, macho man, action hero type thing. I think the Disney one broke down the stereotypes of what a wrestler should be. And it's like there's this big guy in tights with this little girl, playing the Tooth Fairy. Like,
right.
It takes a strong person to do that.
Well, and Antonio here saying Hogan was Mr. Nanny. And look, I don't want to take away from like Suburban Commando and all that stuff, because like there were some movies Hogan did, but Hogan's Hogan. Hogan never showed any range. You put Hogan in a different costume and he's just Hulk Hogan, right? I'm talking about real depth and like stretching yourself. And like, I feel like, the Disney stuff Rock did definitely showed his range and opened up the doors for the stuff to come. So anyway, I really like this talk. I'm a big nerd about this kind of stuff. So anyway, thank you, TK. This is a wonderful week, everybody. The hotel sessions, thank God, have come to a close. I'm so very thankful for everybody for tuning in and supporting the show this week. We actually brought on like 2 new sponsors this week. So nice. I'm going to go do those. Hey, it's all because of everybody that listens to this show and participates in this show and helps with the show, that the show has been growing. So if you want to help us continue to grow, find more advertisers, find more listeners, please go over to the Wrestling Inc. Daily on whatever podcast platform you'd like. Your comments, your ratings, they really help the show grow and find new listeners. Support WrestlingInc.com, another way to support the show. And if you want to support our sister show, the Wrestling Inc. podcast, it goes down tonight after SmackDown, a lot like this, just different people, different opinions, that sort of thing. TK, anything you want to put over here to wrap up the week?
We had a really great panel with ring announcers, female ring announcers. It is Women's History Month, for you guys who don't know. So we had female ring announcers. We talked about the whole ins and outs of it. We also have an interview dropping with Tasha Steeles. And yeah, you can follow me on everything at TK Trinidad.
Awesome. Cool. And I'm at Nick_Hausman over on Twitter. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll talk to you on Monday. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.